Yo, what's going on, guys? Chris Bonner here, Overtime Athletes. Another progression video for you guys. This one, what I wanted to do is more of some of the ballistic power ones, right? Now that it's off-season baseball, one of my favorite ballistic power movements is either a rotational toss or a single arm broad toss, where basically we're getting that trunk involved and really working those rotational forces. So I'll go ahead and show from a regress where we start all the way up to the final progression of that movement, or the most advanced concept of that movement. The reason why obviously we use these is to elevate the threshold of that rotational power. We start with basically eliminating the lower body, and we elevate it all the way up into the highest velocity of that, that drill that we can perform. So the first one we're gonna do is we're gonna do a simple single leg, or half kneeling one, I should say. From here, what you're gonna do is underhand with the medicine ball, come from the pocket or even as far back to your range, come here, and basically you're letting your hands fly, letting the entire trunk do the work. Now, the reason why we start here is because we're only using the muscles that create that torque and rotation when you're doing it. From here, what we want to do, again, let me show you the other variation. We can also do the single arm rotational throw where we're here, boom, still being able to use rotation, but we're actually performing more of a push than an underhand toss. Now, the reason the difference between these two is one is a horizontal push paired with a rotation. The other is just straight rotational forces. So I actually do a combination of both. The next progression from that is actually what I'll do, guys, just to give you guys a heads up, is I'll have the athlete turn sideways to get a little bit more stretch in the rotation. Okay, so they might come from here, or I might switch legs and they might come up and come to the wall, or they might put this leg up because they're creating that separation in the torso. And when they're hitting, what my guys have taught me, when they're hitting or throwing, the big thing is to create that separation. So as your lower body's turning this way, your upper body's turning this way, almost creating like a whip-like action with that torso and trunk region. Now, the next progression from there is going to be on our feet, right? So we're gonna come from here, we're in a static stance. I'll go ahead and load this hip, shoot from the pocket, and explode into the wall, just like that. If we're doing the push variation, again, load this hip, explode into the wall. The next one that we can do from here is we can get a little bit more of the lower body involved, okay? And the way we do that is we can perform some form of a reaction component, okay? So I tell them to react or rebound off the wall. So by jumping into the other leg and then letting it go, we actually have to decelerate the ball, absorb more force, and then overall transition and produce more force. And then the final progression from there is just what we call dynamic. And this is where we create and generate a little bit more momentum. And what that does is it speeds up the amount of velocity that actual movement is produced, and that action is produced. So I would have them come from here, they just gain a little bit of momentum, speed up, turn, and throw it. And again, that just elevates the threshold. Think of that as being able to essentially speed up the total amount of velocity, which will transfer over to when they go hit or throw. Same thing can be done with the push. So again, for the most regressed position, strip it down, build it up. Start on the half kneeling. You can turn each way sideways. From there, generate from the from the lower body, transfer forces from the hip, then add the reactionary component, boom, and then finally speed it up by adding the dynamic, speed up the velocity, create momentum, and generate it into their med ball progression for rotational throws throughout an off season. Hope that helps you guys out. I'll see you guys next time.